Alright, so I'll be honest with you guys. Preparing this message, I'm nervous, that's what I'm trying to say. I've been thinking about speaking for a long time, and you guys know, from November, December, I was trying to talk to Colin saying, can we work on something, let me speak a message. But, you know, how God's timing works out, it took a little while to get things together. But I believe right now it's his time that he's called upon. And I'm nervous, surprisingly, not because of the fact that I'm speaking, but the fact that the message that I'm going to be speaking about, you know, particularly, I'm not someone who gets nervous that easily. For you guys who know me, I'm in somewhat a bit of the spotlight a lot. I'm on TV, I'm on the Youth Zone, you know, watching. So, being on the Youth Zone, everybody always comes to me, they're like, oh man, I saw you, man, ha ha ha, or oh, you're on the Youth Zone, ha ha. So people know me from that, right? But surprisingly, my TV career is much greater than just the Youth Zone. As you can imagine, Rayon, can you show the first picture? That's not the first picture. Okay. It wasn't funny though.
There we go. There we go.
It's coming. It's coming. Ah, there it is. So this is a young Benjamin, and this is the Prince. And I was on NBC News or whatever for about 10 seconds, and that picture came up, and you know, huge moment, world famous, seen across. But that is great. Yeah, that's a Prince. That's royalty. Royalty. But even that is not my biggest TV appearance. I've been seen by millions of people all across North America. You know what? I can tell you what I was on, but I'd rather just let Rayon play this one.
Let's go! Crazy, 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 dancing in the sun. I know we own it. With Kids Bop, it's always a good time.
It's Kids Bop 23 with some of today's hottest songs, sung by kids for kids.
It started with a whisper, and that was when I kissed her. We are never, ever, ever getting back together. Shine bright tonight.
Don't miss out. Get Kids Bop 23 today.
And it feels like my hands just too close to love you.
Kids Bop 23 has all the latest songs you've been asking for.
Falling from cloud nine, you make me feel like I've been locked out of heaven.
Alright, you guys saw me, right?
No!
You saw me, right?
No, we did not. No.
Go to 53 seconds.
Yeah. He hasn't memorized.
53 seconds.
Say it and then just stop it right there. Stop. Okay.
Toss him right there.
This red hat up there. Right there. Watch this. I see him.
We really don't see you. That's not you. That's not you.
Alright, you wasn't supposed to be in the front. Go back on lights.
Are you really famous?
I mean, isn't it obvious that I was just right there?
No, it wasn't.
Like, aren't you just gonna turn on your TVs and just look at that and be like, whoa, Benjamin, I didn't know he was on TV, right?
No.
Like, alright, for you guys, you may not notice it, but for me, every time that commercial came on TV, I freaked out. I told I was like, I'm on TV. Hey, right in the back.
He was there.
The thing is, you may not have seen me, but I did. That's what matters, right?
I
But you see, alright, the point I try to make by showing you guys this is that for me, that's a big moment. And every time I see that on TV, that's something that like, whoa, I'm on TV. That draws my attention. I get excited over that. But for you guys, you don't really care about that. You didn't even see me.
No.
So it's not like something that you guys just gonna pick up off. Generally, you guys don't care that I'm in that. Because the reason I played that whole thing is that that's kind of an analogy of our lives. A lot of us are me-centered. We're me-based, right? Not me, but as in ourselves. So for me, that video is kind of like, let's say that's our lives right there. And that little moment there is your time on earth. It's so small, you know, you barely notice it, and really only you care about it. Let's be honest, maybe your close family, your friends, yeah, they care about you. But for the people who go through life, and that whole commercial was just say maybe your time on earth, you're just a speck on there. You're not gonna make an impact. You know, I'm not saying that you guys can't do something big, right? But the amount of names that you can go anywhere in the world and say, hey, do you know this person? And they say yes, it's very slim. See, think about it, even in your families, right? Do you know much about your great-grandparents?
Yes.
No.
How about your great-great-grandparents?
I wanted to have a conversation about that in the car.
The most we know about them is like maybe a couple of stories they had. But we don't really know them. We don't really care about what they've done. So really, a lot of us, we're so focused on that moment. We think that moment is so important in our lives that we're so driven by our desires. We do whatever makes us happy because it's all about us, because life revolves around us. So everything we do is me-based. You know, we'll always try and find things that'll give us pleasure in life because we want to be happy. If money doesn't make us happy, we turn to other things. We turn to relationships. Relationships can turn to bad things. That can turn to promiscuity, that can lead to heartbreak. It can turn to looking for pride and fame and acceptance, but the world's just gonna reject us. And the beauty of it is that kind of in our souls, we almost have a vacuum that's like right in this area of the soul, whatever, where it wants to be filled. And we will find any and everything we can to fill that void. But the trick to it is that nothing in this world can fill it. So we will spend so much time going through this life trying to fill something in that void, but it's never ever gonna pay off. Now, when I turn to the Bible to speak on this message, really I feel like this really came from God because I didn't really look this up. I kind of just came across it. The story behind it was that some Jehovah's Witness came by my house a couple Sundays ago. And my mom was to the window and two men, they pulled up and they pulled up to me and said, "Good morning, how are you doing?" And my mom kind of comes in and she's like, "Hi, how are you?" And we had this little gnome outside right by the door and she comes and she's like, "Do you see that gnome outside? You see how it's smiling?" And she's like, "Yeah. Wouldn't you like to be like that gnome too?" She's kind of freaked out, right? She's like, okay, sure." And he's like, "Would you like me to tell you how you can be like that gnome?" And she's like, "No, but my son would," so she threw me outside, so I got So I'm talking to them, I'm going through their floors and stuff. It was cool to go through, but they told me this verse that just to look at and read, and I bookmarked the page, double bookmarked it, so it's 2 pages. So I was just rolling through my Bible trying to figure out what I was going to pull up on. And then this verse came up, and I read it, and it's a passage. And once I read that, I was like, alright, this is what I need to speak on. And the challenging part about this whole message is this passage, because it's not going to be easy for us to hear. It's not an easy chapter, but we have to realize that it's God's word. So anything that's from God, it's serious. Now, it's from Ezekiel 16. It's pretty long, so I don't expect you guys to follow, but I'll read through it. Basically, at that time, Jerusalem or Israel, they're God's chosen people, but they've gone against him many, many times. And he's enraged about it because they're supposed to be his people, but they've gone against him. So this is what God has to say about them. But this isn't just speaking to Israel. This is speaking to us in our lives. Let me run through it. From 16. The Lord spoke to me again. "Mortal man," he said, "point out to Jerusalem what disgusting things she has done. Tell Jerusalem what the sovereign Lord is saying to her. You You were born in the land of Canaan. Your father was an Amorite, and your mother was a Hittite. When you were born, no one cut your umbilical cord, or washed you, or rubbed you with salt, or took enough pity on you to do anything. When you were born, no one loved you, and you were thrown out into an open field. Then I, the Lord, passed by and saw you, squirming in your own blood. You were covered with blood, but I would not let you die. I made you grow like a healthy plant. You grew strong and tall and became a young woman. You were well formed and your hair had grown out. As I passed by again, I saw that the time had come for you to fall in love. I covered your body with my coat and promised to love you. Yes, I made a marriage covenant with you, and you became mine. This is what the Lord says. Then I took water and washed the blood off you. I rubbed olive oil on your skin. I dressed you in embroidered gowns and gave you the best shoes of the best leather, a linen headband, a silk cloak. I put jewels on you, bracelets, necklaces. I gave you a nose ring and earrings and a beautiful crown to wear. You had ornaments of gold and embroidered linens of silk. You ate bread made from the best flour and had honey and olive tea. Your beauty was dazzling, and you became a queen. You became famous in every nation for your perfect beauty, because I was the one who made you so lovely. This is what the Lord says. But you took advantage of your beauty and fame to sleep with everyone who came along. You used your beauty and your clothes to decorate your places of worship, and just like the prostitute, you gave yourself to everyone. You took the silver and gold jewelry that I had given you, used it to make male images, and committed adultery with them. You took the embroidered clothes I gave you and put them on the images, and you offered to the images the olive oil and incense I had given you. I gave you food, the best flour, olive oil, and honey. You offered it as a sacrifice to win the favor of idols. This is what the Lord says. And it keeps going on. Then you took the sons and the daughters you had born to me and offered them as sacrifices to idols. Wasn't it bad enough to be unfaithful to me without taking my children and sacrificing them to idols? During your disgusting life as a prostitute, you never once remembered your childhood, when you were naked and squirming in your own blood. The Lord said, you are doomed, doomed. You did all that evil, and then by the side of every road you built places to worship idols and practice prostitution. You dragged your beauty through the mud. You offered yourself to everyone who came by, and you were more a prostitute every day. You let your lustful neighbors, the Egyptians, go to bed with you, and you used your prostitution to make me angry. Now I have raised my hand to punish you and take away your share of my blessing. I have handed you over to the Philistines, who hate you and are disgusted with your immoral actions. Because you were not satisfied by the others, you went running after the Assyrians. You were their prostitute, but they did not satisfy you. You were also a prostitute for the Babylonians, that nation of merchants, but they didn't satisfy you either. This is what the Lord says. You have done all this like a shameless prostitute on every street. You build places to worship idols and practice it. But you are not out for the money like a common prostitute. You are like a woman who commits adultery with strangers instead of loving her husband. A prostitute is paid, but you gave presents to all your lovers and bribed them to come from everywhere to sleep with you. And this is basically the last line I want to stress you. You are a special type. No one forced you to become one. You didn't get paid. You paid them. Yes, you are different. Now that's a very long passage, but it's a very powerful passage. It can be confusing, and honestly for us, it's offensive. Hearing those things being told to us, we don't want to hear that. I don't want to be called any of those things. This is what the Lord is saying, and He's not referring it to the literal sense. He's referring it to in the fact that showing us our sin. That God has offered us so much love, but yet we've gone against Him. And we've gone in the things of the world to find happiness, and we give them so much of ourselves so that we can get something back, but we're different because we're paying them. They're not paying us. So we're living this life that God says, disgust Him. We're doomed because of it. And we go against His law, against His rules, and do everything that He says we shouldn't do because we're out for this pleasure and we're blinded by it. And it's because we don't remember that time when we were squirming in our own blood. That means right there to show our sinful self, that we're ignorant to the fact that compared to a gracious and loving God, we're sinful. Now, I say this to us because a lot of us in here, including myself, we live lives that we know God will not want us to live, or we have. And we've gone down this road of prostitution, basically, spiritually, where we've gone to so many things that the world has offered, and we said, you know what, here, I'll give you me, but please give me happiness. But it never works out. And it disgusts God, and it makes him so angry at us, not because he hates the fact that we've gone against him, but the fact that he wants us. And the fact that we're turning to everything else instead of him, it enrages him. But despite that, despite our sinful selves, and the fact that we go against God, there is still hope. And that hope comes from the next passage I'll read in Jonah 2. This is after Jonah. He's ran from God. He's hidden from him. He's tried to get away from God, and God's shipwrecked him, thrown him in the ocean, and he's swallowed by a fish. Now, in our lives, not only do we go against God, but we run from him as he constantly tries to chase us. But despite that, it took this moment, which was, hey, it's a hard moment, getting sent to the bottom of the ocean. But despite such a bad moment in Jonah's life, this is what he has to say about what God did for him. In my distress, O Lord, I called to you, and you answered me. From deep in the world of the dead, I cried for your help, and you heard me. You threw me down into the depths, to the very bottom of the sea, where the waters were all around me, and all your mighty waves rolled over me. I thought I had been banished from your presence. I would never see your beautiful temple again. The water came over me and choked me. The sea covered me completely. The seaweed wrapped around my head. I went down to the very root of the mountains and into the land whose gates locked shut forever. But you, O Lord, brought me back from the depths alive. When I felt my life slipping away then, O Lord, I prayed to you, and in your holy temple you heard me. Those who worship worthless idols have abandoned their loyalty to you. But I will sing praises to you and will offer you a sacrifice and do what I have promised. Salvation comes from the Lord. Those two verses, I use them because I want to pin to you guys the gospel. The fact that we've heard so many times it being drilled into our head, but maybe it takes a different method. Maybe I could show you it through the Bible to see the fact that just like the prostitute, we went against God and we are sinful and we have broken his commands, and really we deserve to be cast down into the gates and down into the very root of the mountains where the gates lock forever. And despite that, in God's gracious and loving mercy, he came down for us. He rescued us, even though we were abandoned and we abandoned our loyalty to him. He came to give us a way. He chased after us, and through his son dying on the cross, we're given a way of salvation. And often I ask myself, why did Jesus die? Is it just to free me from my sins? But I realized something through reading stuff, that there's something much deeper for why Jesus died. Yes, that's true, but it's also because he loved us. And he remembered the time of us like babies that just thrown into the open, covered in our own blood, squirming. We have no hope. But Jesus thought of that and said, you know what? I cannot let these people die. I cannot let them go down without knowing me. So I'm going to give up all my authority in heaven, all my power, even though they will reject me and they'll stay in their lives that live against my word. I'm going to come down to earth and I'm going to make a way for their salvation. I'm going to make a way for us to be reconciled, because even if they're in sin, I'm seeing of what they could be out of sin. I'm envisioning us together, and that love that God has for us, that love is what compelled him to die for us. I guess that's why the most popular verse, for God so loved the world that he gave his only son. Not the whole verse, just those lines right there, that phrase, when you think about just how powerful it is. After reading the verse about the prostitute, why would God do that? Why would he give his only son? And it's because of that love. It's because of that love that he has so profusely for us, that he's willing to die for us. And it feels like I'm repeating a lot, but that's because of just how meaningful and strong it is. At the end of Jonah's prayer, he says he'll offer a sacrifice to God. The sacrifice isn't some physical sacrifice, no, sending an animal to die. The sacrifice that Jonah's talking about we see later in one of my favorite verses, Romans 12:1. It says, "So then, my friends, because of God's great mercy to us, I appeal to you. Offer yourselves as living sacrifices to God, dedicated to His service and pleasing Him. This is the true worship that you should offer." This is sacrificing your life, if you really think about it. It's not, physical, but it means that life where you're so consumed with the world, you're saying, you know what, I'm willing to give it up because of God's love for me, His grace for me. I'm willing to turn my life around and be solely centered on the cross and pursuing God and His righteousness. And that is the true worship, where we're becoming like Christ. Yes, we're sharing in His glory. We also suffer just as He suffered. But that is the worship to God. That we say, you know what, I'm willing to give up my life on earth to please God. The analogy that I brought forward earlier about kids' ball. A lot of us right now, I said, we're just like that. And you gotta really think about it, guys. That one quick 2 seconds on a TV screen that only you're gonna remember, what's the point of it? Are you gonna spend that time living for you, doing what you wanna do, supplying the pleasures and the needs that you have? Or are you gonna give it to a cause that's much greater than us? Something that's stronger and wiser and just so much more loving and righteous than anything we have on earth. And that's offer that life to God. Don't care about what people think of us. Don't care about if, just like this, I'm preaching a message and no matter what people may think, doing it because of God's love, for glorifying Him. Do people know us for God? If they think about you, do they think of that guy or that girl follows God? That is a Jesus follower. Or do they think of other things? Because if they think of other things, then maybe we ought to look at our life. Maybe this life isn't focused on God, it's focused on us. And there's a problem with that. It's just going to leave us scarred and bruised in the end. And we're only giving ourselves away to things that are just going to take from us. So for many of us, you might have never heard this message before. The gospel's never been real to you. And after hearing this, you may say, you know what? I think I want to give my life. I want to sacrifice my life, my existence, my small piece of time on this earth to something that's much greater. Or some of you may are maybe Christians and you're following God and you're saying, you know what? I just don't feel like I'm living up to this. I feel like I've believed it, but I haven't acted on it. I haven't let God come into me and direct my life. Well, we're going to have worship, one more song. And afterwards, I leave it open to any of you guys. If you want to stay back afterwards and just pray about it. It's not something that's going to be instant, just say a prayer or anything, but I really want to connect and really see, hey, is this something that you're willing to give your life for? Because really, if you're not living for